All right. Day 3, Entrepreneurs of Tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. Hello. This is our third day of kickoff conference interviews. We've been talking about a lot of really cool stuff. We've been talking about how to manage your relationships in entrepreneurship. We've been talking about, yesterday we had the Mamba mentality conversation. We talked about facing challenges. We talked about falling in love with the work. We talked about self-worth quite a bit. And this morning, we're going to kind of keep these themes rolling. Today is all about you. Today is all about the power of the up and coming generation. And so I am joined today by one of my favorite people on the face of the earth, my Miss Maia Regman. Maia, I'm gonna bring you in right now. There she is. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. So this is the fabulous Maia Regman. Maia is a proud Howard woman that has been empowered by her HBCU, the illustrious Howard University, to advocate for the advancement of all Black people. Maia uses her platform as a content creator to inspire creatives and empower entrepreneurs. By combining her graphic design, photography, videography, girl, you left so much off, but okay, skills. She's been a featured in influencer campaigns for the UN, for Fenty, for Grubhub, and more. She's featured in publications such as Essence. That is twice, Maia, that Essence has come up in an intro, and both times I botched it. It's not a difficult word, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not, but here we are. In Essence, Refinery 29, HBCU Digest, and she looks forward to leveraging her experience and her network to bring innovative ideas and excellent execution as an account director at JIVE Consulting, which I just learned about the other day when me and Maia were catching up. Maia, good morning.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here.
So that's the paper intro. Tell us a little bit about who we're talking to here.
So hi everybody, I'm 22, if you believe in astrology, which I do. I'm an Aquarius sun, Aries moon, Virgo rising. I love everything creative. I love bringing young people to the table and empowering them to really take charge in every room that they're in, despite their age. As long as they're skilled, they should be in the room. So that's what I'm here to talk about.
That's it. And that's why we're here, right? That's what Entrepreneurs of Tomorrow is all about. And we're going to get into some really interesting stuff. But I want to start off, I asked everybody this that's come on so far. I'm going to jump right in with you. When did you, because like you said, you're 22. I'm not that much older. I'm getting older. I'm a camper, so we're on the horizon. But when did you first start to consider yourself an entrepreneur? And what was it that you believed that you could impact the most through entrepreneurship?
It's really funny because I really started when I was like in elementary school. Like I was the person I remember I was the person that always had ideas to like do a fundraiser or something. So I'd be like, let everybody bring in. I remember I had like my entire grade bring in old t-shirts and we cut them up and we would braid them and we turn them into headbands and we like raise money for charity. And this was like a whole thing that I organized for fun. Like, I don't even know. And I used to do things from that young of an age, but I didn't consider myself an entrepreneur because I feel like when I was younger, entrepreneurship was painted as something that, that's something that you do when you have nothing else that you can do. And it was just like in a very negative light. And I think on top of that, being a second generation American, being somebody who, my parents went through a lot just to put me where I am today. It was like, we went through too much for you to want to just start something on your own. Like, we want you to go to college. We want you to work at a corporate company. We want you to do the things that we wouldn't have had opportunity to. So entrepreneurship was looked at in a negative way because of that. But it wasn't until I was about 18, and at that point I had done about 2 years of experience, 2 years of working in public relations, social media, event planning, and all these other things. And I was like, I could do this. Like, I could do entrepreneurship. Like, I have the skills, I have the expertise, like I have the network, I have the people who will give me the recommendations. People are literally hiring me to be a consultant to them, and I've only been in this game for like 2 years, and that's when I realized, okay, I am an entrepreneur. We're just gonna have to rebrand how entrepreneurs are looked at, and I think that I'm very thankful for where we are now as a society, where there's even more people like becoming entrepreneurs, more people with side hustles. That now it's normalized, so now we have the opportunity to really delve deep into that field.
Yeah, I remember when we first met. Every time I talk to you, I'm inspired by you. But I remember the first time we met, you were telling me about that experience, and you said, you mentioned the work that your parents put in, and the lifetime careers that they entered into. Mm-hmm. And I can remember you said, when I didn't know this elementary school story. I would have loved to have Maia in my third grade class. It was amazing. But I remember, you mentioned that experience, and you said, I figured out what I wanted to do at a young age, and I just started gaining the experience in high school, so that by the time I got to Howard, I was already in internships. I was already launching this career, and all of a sudden now, exactly that kind of fairy tale of entrepreneurship that has all of this kind of negative stuff around it of like, oh, so you broke. You know what I mean? that all of that can kind of, all that doubt, all of that stigma can kind of just start going away, because like you're like, you know what, I'm 16, 17 years old, and I'm already kind of in my bag.
Yeah.
And people are already starting to come and try and talk to me about these things. So that's one of the things we've talked about with some of these interviews in the last couple of days, and some of the conversations I've already had with interns is about self-worth, right? At that 15, 16, 17 years old kind of time frame, and even before and after, right? Just at a young age, how do you place worth on what you're doing and not of course, we talked about this yesterday. Doubt is always going to creep in. Doubt is a part of life, but how do you, first of all, you've always been, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've always been this confident, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. Like, I know. So how did you hone that confidence? How did you hone that sense of, I can do this, into something impactful?
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of it has been, I've always strived to be as fact-based as possible, very logical. I think a lot of that just came from when I was younger. I feel like I had to explain why I wanted to do things to my parents, to my grandparents, to whoever it may be. And I think a lot of that does come from, when your parents are hardworking and they're young and, they're just starting to make some money, you got to explain why you want to do 7 different extracurricular activities. Like, that's expensive. That's not cheap. So because I have been in I was always in 5 to 7 things from the age of 5, I had to explain, okay, well, this is why I think I should be doing ballet and hip hop and jazz and cheerleading and anything else that my teachers want me to do, and this field trip and this and that, and Christmas. I already have the Toys R Us circled, filled out. I already know what I want. So I started to learn how to fully articulate what I wanted and why I thought that it would be beneficial. And I think that's also just, I'm young. I don't want to have kids anytime soon, but I do know that a lot of the work that I'm doing right now is to make sure that when I do have kids, they have the opportunity to do whatever they want, because I truly do believe, since I was from the age of 5, always affirmed, always told, this is what you're good at, and you should keep on going with it. And there's ways that you could get scholarships for this, and this is a way for you to, make other networks. It was something that was already putting me in that mindset of anything I want to do, I should at least try, because I could be really good at it. And what that turned into was, by the time I was 16, I was already thinking, I'm only a couple of years away from going to school. I don't know what college I'm going to go to, but I know that I don't want my parents to have to pay for it. My siblings, I'm way older than them. They're 10 years younger than me. So I'm very conscious of, I'd rather them, really, I'd rather me go through all the hassle of trying to figure out how college works so that I could pass that information down by the time my siblings get here. So how can I best do that? Put myself in the best opportunity to get a full scholarship, so I don't have to worry about paying for stuff so I could easily get into programs, so that I could easily get a full-time job after I graduate. So once I became 16, I'm like, the best way for me to start preparing for that now is just by doing internships. So it was very hard because I had to explain everything to my parents. I had to explain why I was doing homework from the time that I got home to 7 to 8 p.m. Then I might eat dinner with them, and then I'm back to doing work until 11 and 12 at night. And they're like, why are you doing all this? Why are you doing multiple internships at the same time? Why can't you just focus on school? And a lot of that was because my dad was from Harlem, my mom was from the Bronx, and they were from the era of New York where it was very, very, very hard to get out of poverty, to actually be able to get a job, to be able to go to school. So for them, they're looking at me like, we worked hard, so you don't got to do this, so you can actually focus on school. And I feel like that's the experience that a lot of entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, especially Black, Hispanic entrepreneurs, our parents are like, stop working so hard. We did all this so that you don't have to work so hard. But they don't understand that because we saw them do that, we have to continue that and make sure that our next generation doesn't have to do that too. Because at the end of the day, it's not as easy as we think.
Yeah, no, and I think, it's almost an irony, right? Where like you saw the work and you're like, no, you ignited this in me. Like now I'm ready to go. Like now check this out. Watch what I'm about to do. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now when you're trying to do all these interviews, right? I'm sorry, interviews. When you're trying to do these internships. And you've got multiple at a time. Did you know at that point, like, were you sitting there at 16, 17, 15, saying, I'm going to do these internships and it's going to lead me to this career path and then I'm going to do this? Or was it more like, I'm going to do these internships because I know the very next step in front of me, which is for you college, right, will be easier, will be more manageable, right, as financially, socially, professionally, all these things, right? Was it this is my long-term plan, or it's just like, this is going to get me from here to here?
Kind of, I would say a hybrid of the two, because when I first started to make the shift, because I actually wanted to be a psychologist before all of this. I wanted to be a psychologist. And then I was like, I don't know if that's really the salary that I'm looking for. So maybe psychiatrist. And then I was like, med school. I don't know if I actually want to do that. So I was like, well, why did I actually really want to do any of that? And it all came back to wanting to help people and wanting to be a role model and wanting to be that leader. I'm that Black leader, that Afro-Latina leader, like that young leader that was really inspiring other young people. And I was like, okay, I could also do that in business. So I started doing a lot of business and leadership programs. I was learning more about that industry. And I was like, okay, I have this big personality. And from what everybody's telling me is I could do consulting or I could do investment banking. But I knew that I didn't want to just like leave it there. Like I wanted to have some sort of role that was very like forward facing, like the CEO of a company or something. So by the time I started doing all those internships, I was like, when I learned about CEOs, it's people who just did a whole lot of jobs and then they ended up having all the skills necessary to be able to run an entire company. So I was like, let me just do internships from here and here and here and here and sprinkle of this and sprinkle of that and just learn all these different skills, because realistically I don't know what it's going to take for me to become a CEO of a company right now. But I do recognize that the path that everybody takes is really just taking risks and taking this job and taking that job and just learning as much as they can so they could combine all that so that they can run the entire company.
Yeah, and jumping on opportunities, right? Like some of the conversations I've already had with some of our interns is they're like, I love EOT. I think I want to do this. They're like, but I don't really know what it is that I'm trying to do with my life. And I'm like, oh, that's why we're here. You know, like, come on, jump on board, take this risk, join us. And our hope is that by the end of this, even if you still have no idea, you have skills now. You know what I mean? So you can say, okay, I wasn't very good at X, Y, and Z, but I was really good at A, B, and C. So now let me see where I can kind of take A, B, and C. Let me get to D, E, and F. And now, okay, this is, and you just start to build it the way that you're saying. Yeah, I mean, when I got my degree in education, and that seems like such a surefire thing. That was one of my biggest pet peeves in college, was when someone said, what's your major? And I said education. They're like, oh, you're so lucky, you know what you want to do with the rest of your life. And I was like, I don't know, who said I was gonna, what am I, just gonna be in a classroom for 35 years? I'm like, that's a different generation mindset. I can't just go straight into this, and I had to really figure it out. I mean, you know me, the way that I feel about the whole system, you know, I was like, I can't just plug right into this. And yeah, it's risks. It's like, okay, like I said, I was like, I don't really like the school thing, but I like being in front of kids. I like mentoring kids. I like helping kids figure out what it is that they want to do with their lives. So let me go do this nonprofit volunteering work. Let me go do this. Let me move to New York and see what this guy, Daniel P. Calderon's all about. And just taking it step by step. Of course, now I'm in the classroom, but you know, you got to have your means, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. But you know what I mean? It's like, okay, let me just brick by brick. You know what I mean? Let me just see. Now, one of the things, I'm gonna go back to this, that I've struggled with in my own entrepreneurial, I don't know, track, for lack of a better term, is that self-worth, right? Is that question of, am I really the guy to be doing this? Do I have what it takes to be doing this? I'm taking these risks at about 21, 22, 20. I mean, look, I'm 24 now, about to be 25, but like, you know, I'm doing this right at the beginning of this career, and I really had no idea where it was going to take me. And I do have that education degree, and I do have all those people in the back of my head saying, you're so lucky, you know what you want to do with the rest of your life. And I'm like, I could just go teach, you know? So what is it for you? How do you kind of keep that self-worth up? I mean, I know you just put great product out, but I know it goes deeper than that as well, right? Like, how do you just keep yourself convinced, like, no, I'm the one who's supposed to be doing this?
A lot of it is surrounding myself with people who are also putting in the work in their fields, because then we're able to, like, when you have diversity of just the people around you, like, I don't just talk to my friends that are my age. I don't just talk to my mentors. I don't just talk to my mentees. I don't just talk to my parents. Like, I switch it up, and I make sure that the people that are around me are people that, even if they may not be informed of my industry, they can still give me feedback, you know? When I first started at Howard, two of my mentors are people that now I'm so much like them. And what I was inspired by them was one of them, her name is Cassidy Dixon, and she's a content creator, and she's a filmmaker and a producer and a director and a photographer and videographer. When I first came to Howard, I was like, oh, I would love to be those things. But then I continued to pursue the relationship with her. We ended up doing the same business fraternity, Alpha Kappa Psi Professional Business Fraternity, and she became my big. And that's when, next thing I know, we have an award-winning web series together. And next thing I know, she's teaching me how to get a camera on my own and how to set up my own home studio. And now 4 years later, I'm living the life that I truly wanted to live when I was 18 and making money off of it. And it's and on the other hand, I have my other mentor, Roosevelt Augustine, who is like a creative, and he's working in consulting. And that's exactly what I wanted to do when I graduated from Howard. And that's exactly what I am doing. Not the same company, but the company that I previously worked for. And it's like, it's crazy to see these things come together. But a lot of it is like, you have to just stay disciplined and just like following the paths of the people that you know have done the work that you want to do, and just continue to study their journey. Like, people that I don't even know personally, like Scotty Beam and Issa Rae, they are only, they're less than a decade older than me, and they're just now innovating in a field and giving me the path that I could follow so that I could do the things like they are. Because the thing for me that I'm working on the most right now is I am a part of a different generation. I'm Gen Z. I'm only 22. So I haven't had the work experience that an Issa Rae has, because she started out as older. But what I can do is learn about her journey and figure out what I could be doing too, so that I could continue on that path as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things that I want to highlight right there is trusting in relationships and understanding, okay, like you said, like, even if I'm not going to do exactly what this person's doing, like, this person's got me though. You know what I mean? And I think that's a huge part of it, is when you're, especially at the beginning of whatever it is that you want to do, yeah, you want to establish those really good professional relationships, right? Those personal relationships are amazing. They're helpful. They're supportive. They fill you up. embrace your emotions and everything that you need. But when you start to realize like, okay, I can have a professional relationship with this person. I'm not going to consider so much exactly where it's going to take me. I'm going to have faith in this relationship. And I think that we've been talking about this for a couple of days now. I think that's the most important thing in any context is relationships, positive relationships. I know that whenever I start a new school, the first thing I do, I spend the first 2 months establishing strong relationships with the families of every kid in my class. So now I don't know what these kids are capable of yet. I don't know what's going to happen this year. I don't know this, I don't know that, but I do know that I have very strong relationships that I can lean into and say, hey, you know, X, Y, and Z is going on. How can we work together to make this better? And it's the same thing in this field. Hey, I'm struggling with doing this. And it may be something that whoever you have this relationship with hasn't done before, right? Like, hey, I want to do this. Can you help me with that? No, I can't, but meet this person. And then that network starts to grow, and it's really, really great. So when did you realize, this is an interesting question because we're talking about being young, right? So when did you realize that you could use your youth to leverage professional relationships?
Oh, that was right at the beginning because I am I reflect on this a lot. This is why I try to get any young person that I know that's vaguely interested in social media to get in social media. Older people don't know what they're doing on social media. And I was 16 and I realized that. And I was like, if I can just get some certificates, which are free and they're available, you could take at any age. Like, for example, HubSpot has all of these certificates that you could get. If I say that I'm certified and you know that you don't know what you're doing on Instagram or Twitter, and I'm telling you that I've done courses and I'm certified in it, you're going to trust me to do it. So I use that completely to my advantage. And that's truly what has put me at the benefit. Now that I'm 22, I'm fresh out of college, and I'm a whole account director for a consulting firm where people come to us for marketing strategies. Because everybody else who's my age realized the same thing when they were 16 and 17. Like, everybody that I work with, we're all like 22, 23, 24, all have that same experience of, I've been in this industry for 5-6 years. And the reason why we all realized that we could get into it was because you have to take advantage of when being young actually puts you at a better advantage. We're the TikTok generation, and TikTok is single-handedly changing the music business. It's changing the film business. It's changing so many businesses, and it's because of young people. And the same thing with politics. Like, now politicians know that they have to have a good social media campaign. It's things like that where you realize I'm the one that's really making the decisions. So I just have to trust in myself and trust in my ability, and also get the paperwork to sign up for it or to back up for it, and get the expertise to back up for it. But the future's in my hands, like right here in my phone, in my hands. Like, so being young definitely is an advantage.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, that's something, I mean, same, 24, right? And the reason I'm so drawn to teaching even is because I'm like, oh, I'm too old. Like I can't, it's past my time. I gotta make sure that these young kids, when they're coming up, that they have that mindset. You know what I mean? Like, you have all the leverage. You have all the power. You have everything that you need, and I'll give you everything you need to make sure you understand that moving forward. That's what I love about third grade, and I'm not going to go too deep into it because it's about you. But when you're working with these third, fourth grade kids who are really starting to wake up to like the world around them, like, whoa, okay. And you start teaching them every single day, you can impact this, you can change this, you can have an impact, like whatever it is that you want to do, you can develop those skills and you are in charge. You're absolutely right. As people get older, they have no idea how to impact what it is they want to impact anymore. They're like, oh, everything changed. And I have no hand in it anymore. And so now I need someone to come show me what's going on so that I can continue to do what I want to do. Now, you talked a lot about trusting in your ability, right? Understanding like, okay, like I got this. And I'm going to ask this question, but I know I'm going to highlight one thing you said. So my question is, how do you fight off imposter syndrome in some of these scenarios. Now, one of the things that you said is I went and got certificates. I started doing this at a young age, and I trusted in myself, right? So I know one of the things with that is just putting in the work. You know what I mean? And there's nothing more affirming in any field, under any context, than knowing you have put in all the work and you're ready for something. But at the same time, we're all human, right? I can put all the work into something that I'm doing and then go to execute. And right before I execute, I'm like, I'm not cut out for, you know what I mean? And that doubt comes in. So how do you fight that off?
It's so funny because I think I did it by accident. I dealt with imposter syndrome very, 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 very young, like super duper young, like literally the age of, it was like 6th grade that I had it really, really bad. And the reason why I had it really bad was because I was previously getting ready to apply for a private high school. And that same year, my parents had some job shifts in the family, so they weren't going to be able to afford it. And this is something that I was preparing for like a year and a half. So I was like, wow, here I am, previously thinking that I was going to get certain opportunities education-wise, and now I don't know if I'm going to be able to still get those. And it made me kind of go 10 times harder in everything that I was doing, and I was putting all this pressure on myself because, like, if I don't go to a good middle school, then I won't go to a good high school. If I don't go to a good high school, then I won't go to a good college. And then everything that my family fought for, everything that my ancestors fought for, like, I was so dramatic. At a certain point, I just kind of started talking to adults about it. I'm like, Maia, you're gonna be fine. It's okay. Like the weight of the world is not on your shoulders. I was like, but it is. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Rosa Parks. I was so stressed. I'm so glad I went through such a dramatic time in my life so young, because it's something that I had to continuously affirm myself as I got older. Like, you don't have to do everything to save the world, but what you can do is try to do everything that you can do, so then anything that you want to go after, you're qualified for it, or you can at least argue your case and you know that you did the best that you can. So I feel like the next possible time that I really like dealt with imposter syndrome or like getting close to it was just like where I am now, like in my age. Like, I'm now 22 and I'm finally starting to say, oh, I've really been in this field for 5-6 years, and just reminding myself that I have the expertise to talk about things. Like, I've been a part of campaigns that I literally said I wanted to be a part of. I love Fenty. I wanted to do a campaign for Fenty, ended up doing one for Fenty. I love the United Nations. That's a place that I went to and like did service at and just loved it. And then I ended up doing 2 campaigns for them. And it's just like, I have to remind myself that I've done the work that I wanted to do. Like, I am now in the place that I prayed to be in, and having to remind myself I worked hard for this, but I can't control everything. And what that turned into for me was constantly learning from a mentor while also making sure that I have mentees. So there's no way that I can't remain humble, because I know everything that I still need to learn, but then I'm still affirming myself that I do know the stuff that I'm talking about, because I'm teaching other people how to do it. And now my mentees are now going into their senior years of college and their junior years of college, and they have mentees, and they're calling me and saying, Maia, I'm teaching my mentee the stuff that you taught me. And I find myself talking to my mentees the way that you talk to me and the way that you affirm me. And it's when you have that constant cycle, and the people that you developed into leaders are now developing other people into leaders, it's just management theory to realize that you are truly, developing yourself as a leader. So you are worthy of the things that you're getting. You are worthy of that recognition.
Yeah. And the analogy I like to attach to that kind of idea is it's like driving a car with no GPS, right? And you're relying on, okay, I know my pedal, I know my brake, I know how to steer. But I think the most important part of that analogy is that rear view mirror, and being able to say, okay, I'm driving safely and I'm driving the way that I need to go. I'm not going to veer off my road. I might take a long turn. That's okay. I'm still on the road. I'm still safe. I'm still okay. But always keeping in that rear view mirror, okay, I know what I've done so far. I know I have everything behind me that I need. Everything that is behind me has gotten me right here to this point. and I'm going to keep driving it forward. And I'm going to stay, like I said, the thing about this, and I like this analogy because it's dynamic, right? But you say, ooh, that looks pretty. I'm gonna take a right here. You know what I mean? Like, we don't really, without the GPS, we're like, I don't really know where I'm going, but I know how I can get to wherever I'm going. And I know what I've done to get myself there. I think that's the most important thing to keep in mind, no matter how old or young you are, right? Is just, okay, what have I done to get here? I'm here in one piece, safe, happy, healthy, where I want to be. There's a beautiful skyline in front of me with all this and all these things that I wanted to have in front of me are here. I'm gonna keep driving. There's no reason why, when that doubt starts to come in, when that imposter syndrome starts to come in, it's like, well, why am I pulling over? What am I stopping for? I have all these people in my back seat who I put in my car, who are rooting for me and who are proud of me and who are driving their own cars now. I got this whole caravan behind me that trusts me. Why am I gonna stop now? You know what I mean? And that's easier said than done, in my opinion, right? Sometimes you do just gotta pull over and be like, how'd I get here? It's crazy. I'm here right now. And you gotta remind yourself that you deserve to be there. You know what I mean? I think that's a really beautiful thing. And like I said, it's difficult, but it's important to keep in mind. Talk to me a little about JIVE.
I love JIVE. I love JIVE. JIVE is the company that I didn't know existed and I needed to, I found out about JIVE because I had done a creative boot camp. This was actually the same time that I was working with EOT, and it was called Collective. That was so much fun, and it's a platform for creatives where you're able to have your own portfolio. And it was an amazing creative boot camp where I worked with all these young Gen Z creatives from across the country, all these different universities, and we're all young and at the top of our fields. We're similar story of we're young and we have 3-4 years in the game of photography or social media or videography or copywriting or design, or there's somebody who's in architecture. And it was just like, wow, it's so affirming to be in a space with young people who know what we're doing, and we know what we're doing, because sometimes you don't have that confidence. So being able to affirm each other and give each other expertise was great. And once we finished the program around that same time, the CEO and founder became somebody on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. And it was like, wow, that's amazing. This is somebody that's in my network. Kelsey actually is like a part of Alpha Kappa Psi Professionals Fraternity too. So I'm like, oh, this is my bro. Like, this is so cool because we have so many things in common. And to know that you're a couple of years older than me and you're Forbes 30 under 30, and I look up to you and I see myself in you, that lets me know that that's a possibility for me one day. And she had talked about at some point, maybe on her Instagram, about JIVE. And I was like, ooh, what's this? So I take a look at it and I learned about our CEO, Ziad, who's also Forbes 30 under 30 and my age, and the founder of JIVE Consulting, where they have Fortune 500s being their clients, coming to them trying to learn about what does Gen Z care about. And I'm like, whoa, wait, this sounds perfect, because I had just finished working at a consulting firm that I'd previously worked at for 3 years. And I was like, I love consulting. I don't think that I want to continue doing this though, because I realized I have all this expertise and I don't want to do what we are told to do of doing the 2 years in corporate and making our way up, even though we burnt ourselves out. Like, I didn't believe in that. And I felt like I really did deserve to be in the position that I now am in at JIVE, of account director, where I am running entire campaigns and I have junior partners that I manage and consultants that I manage, and I should be in leadership positions like that. And I just launched my campaign with Jansport, and we're in Adweek, and it's like things like that where it's like, that should be happening. I'm a young person and I know what I'm talking about when it comes to social media and PR, and to be at a consulting firm where they affirm me of that and they give me that space and they forget, seat at the table. We built the table ourselves. We invited you to our table. And it's like, that type of opportunity is what I've been working towards as soon as I decided at 16 that I want to be, 22 with a full-time job that has all the opportunities that I've been praying for. So love me some JIVE.
I had a feeling. No, I'm so excited for that opportunity for you, and I'm excited to see you flourish in it. I know it's relatively new, and I know it's only going to get better. So that's amazing. And yeah, it's like it's a product of so many things that I've known you for less than a year, right, Maya? And like when I see you in a role like that, I'm like, oh, like Maya's been working her whole life for this. I know this about her. I've known her whole life. But it's one of those things where everything that we just talked about as well, just the confidence, but I'm sure when you were 16, I don't think TikTok was around yet. I don't really know when it started, but
it's like the closest thing we had was Vine, if you remember Vine.
Big Vine guy. Vine guy. Used to love Vine. But yeah, it was like there wasn't you don't. That's to say, oh, like TikTok's not. Let me just say, right? To not know what the future of social media is going to look like, but to understand I can have an influence in this space in some capacity. And again, to trust in the relationships, to trust in yourself, to say, if I can do nothing else, I can put in the work and to see where it takes you. Like you just said, like y'all built this table. This table was built, I'm sure where you sit, it's ingrained. It says Maia Regman right at it. It was waiting for you. You know what I mean? And now, and again, 22, doing this, the world's your oyster. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm so excited to see where you blast off into, because I know that it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing. If you had one piece of advice that you wish somebody gave you when you were 15, 16, 17, I know it doesn't sound like you needed that much advice, but if you had one piece of advice that you wish somebody would have given you, what would it be? You on mute.
When people say be yourself, I feel like we don't really believe or truly understand what that means. And I think a lot of it comes from what I've realized is the reason why I am so sure of myself is because there were so many points when I was younger that I realized that I didn't, quote unquote, need to listen to my parents. And not to say don't listen to your parents. I don't mean by that by any means, but when I'm working and my parents are encouraging me, Maia, take a break. You're young. But I know that I need to get the certificate done. I need to do this program if I want to get to that next step. And explaining to my parents, hey, love y'all, but y'all aren't experts in the industry that I'm trying to be an expert in. My mom's a nurse practitioner. She's been a nurse for 25 plus years. My dad is in retail. He's been a retail manager for 25 plus years. They know what they're doing in their industry. That doesn't mean that you know what I'm supposed to be doing in mine. So I've had a lot of times where I had to tell the adults around me, I know what I'm doing. Please trust me. I'm doing the best that I can. And I promise you're going to start seeing the results soon. And having to tell your parents that when you're still under their roof and they're the one paying rent and they're the one, paying for your groceries and everything, that's a very hard statement to make. And specifically once I got to college, because I was so headstrong, I really had to make the money myself and support myself to do that stuff. And then being able to support myself with it, especially within this last year since COVID, I'm paying my rent with influencer marketing. I'm paying bills with influencer marketing. I have my job now because of my years in influencer marketing. Be able to go back to my parents and say, hey, see how y'all just had to kind of trust me? Please just continue to trust me. I promise you I got it. So really have faith in yourself, and it's gonna be hard. You're gonna get into arguments. You might get cut off. You might be told that you're disrespectful, But as long as you are humble and you realize how much you've grown and you're able to communicate that effectively in a way that lets people know you're not trying to be disrespectful, you're just trying to make the most of what you have right now and getting into the opportunities that you can, so then you could then teach your family or teach your siblings or teach the world or your community the skills that you have. So that's the advice I would give. Please have faith in yourself and be yourself. Follow your path.
I love that. I love that. And you and I are so similar in that headstrong way. And I had to, I went through this. Yeah. I had to just keep telling my parents, like, have faith. I know it sounds crazy. Yeah. I know I'm living on a couch in New York City and it doesn't sound like it makes a lot of sense. And I know I just got this degree and I get it. But I promise you, just keep watching, stick with me.
Yeah.
Stick with me. And you're right. Yeah, there's a lot of times, and that's not easy, right? That's not only is that not easy to just have that conversation, but you got to really convince yourself sometimes too. Like, no, like I really do believe I can do this. And it's hard when those endeavors are paying your bills and you just scraping by and you're like, and you got to turn around and look at somebody else and say, have faith, trust me. You're telling yourself that as well. And I think that's a really important piece of that advice is talk to yourself. Well, that sounds weird, but you know what I mean?
It's true though.
Yeah, like let yourself know, like we're good. Mm-hmm. We're okay. Have faith. You made all the decisions that got you to a point where your broke ass is walking here and doing this and staying with it. You got yourself to this point because you believe. So you have to continue. I'm finishing up If Beale Street Could Talk, James Baldwin, right? And one of the moments in the book, it's the two fathers speaking to each other. And they're worried because they need money to try and pay for this lawyer to get the son out of jail and all this stuff. And he says, have you ever had money? And the other guy kind of looks up and he's like, no. He's like, and have you ever been out on your butt? And he's like, no. He's like, no, because we always make it work. Everything we've done to this point, we've made it work. So why are we going to start worrying about it now? We just got to continue to believe and continue to do the things that we do, and it's going to take us even further. It's a hard thing to convince yourself of when you're hungry, when you're tired, when you continue to just push through this crazy kind of endeavor where you're like, I'm not, like we said, right? I don't know where this is going to take me, but you got to have that faith. I think that was a really, really, thank you for that advice. And that's all I got for you, Maya. The last thing I want you to do is just tell us what's coming up in Maya's world. How can we support you? How can we show you love?
Oh my goodness. So much is coming up. The first thing is please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Maia_melanin, MAIA_MELANIN. And, just support my content. What I try to do is I inspire creatives by giving them the resources and the tutorials and the tools that they need to make the most visually engaging content that they can. I empower entrepreneurs by constantly supporting Black businesses, supporting BIPOC businesses, supporting LGBTQ, women-owned business, like everything, just really putting on for the people who are working the most, which I believe are small business owners, and they're just trying to get a good product out there. So using my platform to uplift them. DM me. Let's work together. Let's kiki, send me memes. But yeah, the biggest thing is follow me on Instagram. I have some big things coming up. I'll always post it there first.
Okay. Perfect. Well, look, I'm gonna send everybody your way. We will. We'll talk more about how we can get you more involved with these kids as well. We definitely want to make sure that they have access to you, because I got a laundry list of reasons why.
Thank you.
But I think they all, after watching this, they're gonna have a lot of reasons why they want to contact you as well. So we'll make sure that we set that up, Maya. Thank you so much for taking your Friday morning to spend with me. And with our new batch of interns. I'm so excited to see what they put together this summer, and how you can be a part of it. All right.
Super excited. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Maya.